2022 season in the Idemitsu Asia Talent Cup and a potential championship decider. The only man who can seal the deal in race 1 of the Indonesia round this weekend is Hakim Danish. He's the man who has the advantage. 4 wins in the last 4 rounds and a double winner here earlier on in the season. The series leader, the favourite to get this title over the line in 2022. He starts from the front row of the grid as far as his championship rivals are concerned. Ezawa lines up from P5, the middle of the second row, and Gun Mie didn't have the best of Superpole sessions, and he will line up from the middle of row 4, 11th place on the grid for Gun Mie as he bids to keep his title hopes alive. Yeah, that's it for Ezawa there on the number 21 machine. He's been the consistent rider all the way through this season. He's the only rider that scored points in every race so far in the 2022 campaign, and he's been in the top 6 each round as well. So he's been very impressive for just being able to grind out strong results all the way through. Whereas Pratama, with those 4 wins, he's been really good at being able just to show that he's the fastest guy out there. Quick run through the championship permutations. As I've said, Hakim Danish, the only rider who has a hope of winning the Asia Talent Cup this afternoon. Nothing less than a win will do for him, with Shinya Ezawa scoring at most 3 points. That's the only way he can have the title sewn up in the season's penultimate race. Meanwhile, Gun Mie, 35 points back from top spot, as we've said, has got to close that gap to less than 25 to remain in contention. And as unpredictable as Talent Cup racing can be, I would suggest that it looks like we'll have a head-to-head between Danish and Ezawa, with just 3 points between them and 2 races remaining. Yeah, as unpredictable as it can be, Gun Mie has not got much chance of being able to pick up this ATC win. But you do have to say that for the riders coming through in the ATC, they only need to look at all of the World Championships that we have this season in the Grand Prix class in particular. They've been able to look at some of their ex-ATC graduates having moved on to bigger and better things, the likes of Ayagura obviously challenging for a Moto2 World Championship, and Somkiat Sancha as well, his teammate as well in the Moto2 class, and a host of riders in the Moto3 classes. So these riders know that if they're successful here, it will give them opportunities down the line. Last season it was Tao Furusato who won with an unbeaten season, and the turnover inevitable in a promotion class. Next season there will be 9 new riders recently chosen from a selection event that took place in Malaysia, who will join the grid for 2023. But we're getting ahead of ourselves. We've got a championship decider this weekend in the Asia Talent Cup, and conditions ripe now. We've had plenty of race action in World SBK here this afternoon with Supersport and the Superbike World Championship to prepare the track conditions and to widen up that narrow racing line just a little bit. Yeah, and it is a very narrow, ideal line around this track. Overtaking is quite treacherous around this circuit this weekend, and certainly for a lot of these riders, they'll know that the key places to try and make a move, turn 1 and turn 10, but we've seen a lot of overtaking into turn 13 and 14 at the end of the lap. Reminder of your championship standings. It's Hakim Danish who leads the way by 3 points ahead of Shinya Ezawa and Gun Mie 35 points back. Your only 3 mathematical contenders, your pole sitter and recent form man, is Feda Pratama, the winner of race 2 of the Thai Grand Prix, has been on 3 of the last 4 podiums. Really anyone's race. It's going to be a pack race right from the early stages. Race 10 of the 2022 Asia Talent Cup gets underway. There was a long hold there. Riders now in the drag race down towards turn number 1. Feda Pratama, your pole sitter on the number 7, sweeps across the path of Carter Thompson, defend the race lead in towards turn number 1. Fetasan trying to make progress as they bunch and bore their way through the opening 2 turns. Hakim Danish has survived that successfully. So the top 3 still as they were off the line, with Feda Pratama, the home representative, leading the way on lap 1. Yeah, Zawa on the number 21 machine are second in the championship standings. He's lost a couple of spots in this opening lap as well from the second row of the grid. Shinya Ezawa, who started off in P5, has dropped as far as 8th position by the looks of things as they try to go side by side, getting slightly offline in these track conditions, slightly treacherous as we've seen in the 2 World SBK races this afternoon. And for Gun Mie, our 3rd in the standings, he's
up there into 9th position now, trying to make some more moves. And you can see Carter Thompson on the number 6 machine in 2nd spot, really putting some pressure on Pratama for the race lead.
Fettezan making another lunge there to the inside of Hakim Denish, but not quite able to find his way through. It's Nicholas who is directly behind, who's the rider who's made progress at the expense of Ezawa, who's just recovered P7 ahead of Ray Wakamatsu. Gunmei, as we've said, climbing from 11th on the grid and into P9. Ray Capfadilla directly behind him, and Hafi in 11th position as we watch the duel now for the top spot as Pratama comes under increasing pressure from Carter Thompson.
Yeah, Thompson's in a hurry to get himself into the race lead here, and you can see in 3rd position now Hakim Denish knows that this is a real opportunity for him as well. He can sense that he can get to himself right to the front as well. So keep an eye on number 13. He's been very fast in the second half of this lap, but Carter Thompson looks like he's getting bottled up a little bit by Pratama in second.
Hakim Denish keen to succeed where he failed a year ago. He was joint 3rd in the championship coming into the Indonesian round last season and crashed out of race 1 and was withdrawn for the remainder of the weekend through injury. He was a double winner though in the Indonesian Grand Prix round 2 of the Asia Talent Cup all the way back in March, so he knows the fast way around this place, and for the moment holding station in 3rd position.
Yeah, dominated that weekend as well, winning the first race by about 15 seconds, so you don't tend to see too many winning margins like that in the ATC.
It is Feder Pratama, though, who leads for the moment, ahead of Carter Thompson in 2nd. It's Denish in 3rd, Fettezan in 4th, and they are now beginning to break away from Nicholas, the Australian, in 5th position, who dropped half a second down. So your lead quartet trying to escape away. Yeah,
and those leading 4 are opening up that bit of a gap now, half a second back to Nicholas, and losing more and more time on this lap as well. This isn't a track where the slipstream really comes into it in the same degree as in a lot of other ATC races. If you're looking at somewhere like Sepang with that very long back straight and the front straight as well, it means that the slipstream is really important. Here it's been maintaining that momentum.
As the leaders make their way through then turns 11 and 12. Turn 11, we've seen plenty of incidents throughout the weekend. Asia Talent Cup has been pretty clean cut though in terms of incidents through free practice and qualifying practice as well. And hopefully I haven't just put the curse of the commentator on for the remainder of race 1.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of riders running off track this weekend, but not too many actual incidents of crashes, and certainly that's what you hope to see. You want to see good racecraft at the front of the field from all these riders, and I have to say Pratama right now doing a good job just to hold on to that lead.
Another position gained by Gunmei, important in the context of the championship, of course. Needs to narrow that gap to Hakim Denish and Shinya Ezawa in order to take the fight to the final day as far as he is concerned. Feder Pratama then setting the pace up at the head of the field, ahead of Carter Thompson at the end of lap number 2 by 0.2 of a second. Hakim Denish 0.3 behind the race leader, so only half a second covering your lead quartet. Shinya Ezawa bringing the group back to the lead quartet now, so that gap narrowed to 5th position as well.
Yeah, brave riding from Ezawa on the number 21 machine. He saw Nicholas trying to get down the inside of him into turn 1, but he knew that they'd been losing time the last lap and a half, so he didn't want to give up that position, and Ezawa on that number 21 machine has been able to hold on to 5th position, and now he's in a position to be able to latch on to the back of the lead.
Fastest man last time around was Gunmei on the number 5. Mie, who started a little bit out of position compared to what we're used to seeing him down in 11th position. He's already had 5 podiums through the 2022 campaign, and is one of the riders who is experienced at this venue from our first visit in 2021. Actually had 3 third places here a year ago.
Yeah, and Gun looked very impressive here all the way through last year, and you can see that number 2 running out wide, that's Wakamatsu.
Wakamatsu, who was directly on the tail of Gunmei at the start of this lap, so that may well have cost him a couple of places, certainly put him offline.
Yeah, once you run out onto that curve, we've seen so many riders in the Super Sport class this week in particular really struggling to get the bike back on the racetrack and to keep yourself without losing too much ground. It does look like he's lost a lot of ground with that mistake.
Yes, Andres Banto coming through for 8th position then on the tail of Gunmei. He's lost a position, he's lost time more than anything, as you say. Bunching up between the top 3 as Hakim Denish tries to close down Carter Thompson. Fettezan now with Ezawa right in the mix, the 2 of them, as Ezawa on the number 21 having fought his way through. Ezawa then the man to watch as they go side by side for 2nd position. The start-finish straight 723 metres here at the Mandalika International Street Circuit. Denish gets up alongside Carter Thompson, and for the first time we have a change among our provisional podium trio.
Yeah, nice move down the inside. Carter Thompson not able to attack back into turn 2, but you can see there for the number 13 of Denise just runs in a little bit maybe into 2, and maybe that's going to create an opportunity for Carter. Last time around though, Izawa into that final sector we saw into turn 15, he was able to make a move in for 4th position. He did that without costing himself time. He was the fastest rider on the track last time around.
As we see Izawa then having made that progress on Fettesson, who's relegated down to 5th position, and the pair of them are very shortly going to have to watch for Gun Mie. Now he's got 0.4 of a second between himself and Fettesson in 5th position. You'd expect some of that to be eaten up in the braking zone towards turn 10. 3 heavy braking zones here in Indonesia. The most notable decelerations into turns 1, 10 and then 15, 16 as we see them making their way through turns 11 and 12, the infield as it were, such as it is here in Indonesia.
Yeah, Izawa's got no fear there. You saw on the run into turn 10 making sure he could get through into 3rd position in front of Carter Thompson. The live championship standings we saw there, they're the standings at the start of the race, they're not actually live.
As we see the leaders Pratama, Dinesh and Izawa right together. And Carter Thompson also, as they go 3 abreast now in the fight for 2nd position. Dinesh is stood up by Thompson, recovering that 2nd place. So it didn't last long, him being pushed down the order, and Carter Thompson restores that P2. All the while, Feder Pratama has never been out of this race lead.
Yeah, 44.8 last time around for Pratama. It looks like that lead group, though, is bunching closer together. So let's see what the pace was that time around. 44.7, and a fastest lap further down the order from Odaki on the number 14 machine. He was about a half second faster than the race leader, so he's trying to close up on them. He's just trying to make a move into turn 1 now.
Good job then from Amon Odaki, the race 2 winner in Qatar. Disappointing recent run for him. He's only managed 14 points from the last 4 races, and somewhat off the pace at the Thai Grand Prix. He's up inside the top 10 positions in race 1 of this Indonesian round. Lap number 5 then, and it is Feder Pratama who leads the way. Fractionally faster than Carter Thompson last time around. The pace gradually hotting up at the head of the field as well. New personal best laps set by both of those riders last time. Hakim Dinesh only narrowly ahead of Shinya Izawa, and then Fettesson, Mie. Then a bit of a gap to Rizwanto as 5 riders show just how it's done, making your way into the tricky turn 10. And nobody really wanted to go side by side through there. They all settled into single file.
Yeah, no one except for Gun Mie. He was able to make the move into the top 5 there, and Mie on the number 5 machine. He's been the rider that's been able to make the good progress all the way through this group, and he's been the rider that's been able to make some moves. So keep an eye on the number 5.
There is your live championship standings. That's if the race were to finish as the standings are at present. It would lead us with a 6-point gap. Hakim Dinesh, 1 position now ahead of Izawa on the circuit. 3rd place is obviously worth 16 championship points, 13 points available for 4th position. There's a lot of position changes between now and the end of the race, that's for sure, particularly with just over a second covering your lead sextet, as you can see.
Yeah, and obviously for all these ATC riders, one of the things that they're going to know coming into this race is 2/3 race distance. It's a 16-lap race, so in the final third of the race, you know that if there's any instance, that will be a race-defining result. So all of these guys will know that they've got to now start to edge themselves into the lead of this group, just in case anything happens later on.
Mie, the next rider, trying to make some progress. 1 minute 44.141, the new fastest lap of the race. The pace, as I've said, gradually improving with each passing lap.
Yeah, and from Gunn, we've been able to see a series of laps where he's been able to pull back 3 or 4 tenths of a second on the riders around him. Last time around, he was 3 tenths of a second faster than Izawa in front of him. And certainly for Gunn Mie on that number 5 machine, he knows that if he's to have a chance of winning the ATC this year, he needs to clear Izawa because the top 3 are breaking away.
25 points, of course, is the magic margin as far as Mie is concerned. He needs the gap to be smaller than that at the end of this race. If he were to stay in 5th position with Hakim Dinesh on the podium, that would leave him out of contention for the Asia Talent Cup, and we would be down to the straightforward head-to-head between Dinesh and Izawa that we were largely predicting for race 2 tomorrow afternoon. It is Pratama then who leads ahead of Carter Thompson. Hakim Dinesh still sitting in 3rd, the top 3 as they were, remember, on the grid, but plenty of change further back down the order with Izawa and Mie, the 2 main championship rivals to Hakim Dinesh, in championship order at the moment. Linus Stern 3rd to 5th.
Yeah, and for Izawa, he needs to, well, he's done a good job in this lap to get himself back on terms with Hakim Dinesh, but he needs to clear him as well. If there's an opportunity to pick up some points, he needs to do it now.
Gunmie still leading, Fettersan still with them as well in 6th place. That's the group with less than a second between them. Further back down the order, Adaki now is well back from Rizwanto, and he in turn has lost half a second from Fettersan. So it's turned into a 6-rider group at the head of the field. See if Rizwanto can try and make up any of that ground. At the moment, he's around about half a second a lap slower than the riders around him, and that's what's enabling them to break away. And then a separate 3-rider train now has appeared. Adaki, Wakamatsu and Nicholas well clear of Hafi, who's just got through on Fadilla for 11th. So the field beginning to splinter now on lap 7.
Yeah, and in this lead group, Hakim Danish on the number 13, our championship leader, he is the slowest rider in that group. So the other riders have been able to close up onto the back of him, and certainly for Ezawa and Gunmie, they need to clear him now.
As we watch on lap number 7, it's Feder Pratama who leads the way. Ever trying to open up that margin, but unable to do so. And of course, inevitably, the slipstream advantage, particularly down your start-finish straight, 723 metres, remember, allows everyone to come back onto his tail. But so far, haven't been able to really strike on Pratama to wrestle that race lead away from him.
He's impressive as well. He's keeping a very cool head here. He might be the youngest rider in the field, but he's already a race winner in ATC. And in this race, he's been doing a very good job just to make sure he's able to keep all this group behind him.
Yes, Feder Pratama, just 13 years of age. He'll be celebrating his 14th birthday later on this month, and it is the number 7 who holds things up at the top of the field. He's gone a little bit wide there. That's going to put him offline. This might be the best opportunity yet for Carter Thompson to make the move into the ever-tightening turns 15 and 16. Thompson on the number 6 bike there in 2nd place, has to hold station for the moment at least. Danish and Ezawa still right behind, as is Gunmie, the other of the championship contenders. Our 3 title contenders, 1st, 2nd and 3rd in the standings, are 3rd, 4th and 5th in this race respectively.
Gunmie made a little bit of a mistake in the middle part of this lap, and that's why he's lost a bit of ground to Ezawa. But Ezawa with a new fastest lap of the race as well on the number 21 machine, so that's also what's caused that to stretch out. But Gunmie has given up 7/10 of a second now, and it looks like he's given up another position as well behind them.
Fettersan then coming through on the number 20 bike. We'll see them side by side as they make their way off turn number 1 and in towards turn 2. It's Ezawa making up the ground. He has been released from Mie and Fettersan, and those two, the 20 and the 5, rather need to work together now. 0.8 of a second that gap, and that's the kind of margin where they can begin to break away. We could be looking at a 4-rider group now to contest those 3 podium places.
Yeah, it does look like we're moving into that territory now, which also leaves us with a 2-rider group for the championship standings as well, because for Gunmie, he needs to win this race to really have a chance of staying in title contention.
Yes, could be that lap 7 of race 1 is determinant in terms of his hopes for the championship, as Ezawa makes a lunge down the inside in towards turn 10 and will go from 4th to 2nd if he can get it stopped. The other riders are going to have the momentum coming off the turn. Carter Thompson comes back at him and pulls alongside to recover 2nd place. Still good enough for Ezawa to move from 4th to 3rd and in front of Hakim Danish. And if things were to stay as they are at present, the two would be tied on points with a single race remaining.
Yeah, of course, Hakim with 4 race wins already this season. He'd have the count back, but we still have 1 more race remaining in this as well. And you can see for Hakim Danish on the number 13, he's going to just try to make sure he's able to settle into this group. He knows that there's only going to be this 4-rider group fighting it out for the race win right now.
Yes, in terms of those race victories, the only way that Shinya Ezawa could manage to finish this season on 4 is if he wins both of the 2 remaining races. Thompson running wide there through turn 16, manages to gather it up, rather blocks the path of Shinya Ezawa, and that allows Hakim Danish to come back through for 3rd position. New personal best lap on lap 8 from Feder Pratama, 1 minute 43.7. The other riders in that leading group in the low 1 minute 44s, and that's allowed Pratama to break away 8/10 of a second clear up at the head of the field. Is getting scrappy in 2nd, 3rd and 4th positions, and Pratama's fully capitalising.
Yeah, for Pratama, he's already a race winner at Buriram this season. He's now got a 2nd in hand over the rest of the field. That can be all the difference that he needs, and certainly if you see Thompson, Danish and Ezawa continue to scrap with each other, all that's going to mean is that Pratama's going to be able to run away into the distance.
Of course, we're looking at the home rider as well, Feder Pratama, who missed the 2 races earlier on in the season, suffered a crash in qualifying, didn't make the same mistake earlier on today. He was able to qualify in P1, and he is leading in P1 on lap 9 of 16. More than half race distance completed. It's Pratama in front, Danish coming back through there on Carter Thompson for 2nd place. That's Shinya Ezawa in 4th position, and a couple of quick position changes, and that live championship we were talking about just a moment ago has turned on its head, and there'd be a 10-point gap between the two of them now if things were to stay as they are.
Yeah, I think we can rest our mental arithmetic for a while at this stage, but certainly for the championship contenders, they know what the scrap is, and it's about beating each other whenever you're in the same group like this. Carter Thompson, though, he's doing well to keep himself at the front of this three-rider group, but it is a case of they've given up too much time to Pratama now, so this is just a scrap per second.
As you touched on previously, the good news for both Danish and Ezoa is that they're in the same group together, so there's not going to be major points lost or gained by either of them unless there is drama in the closing stages. But it's bad news, I'm afraid, for Gun Mie, the number 5, relegated down to 6th position now by Amris Wanto, and at 3.5 seconds down on the race leader, 2.5 seconds almost down on Carter Thompson in 2nd position, as Thompson's picked off by Hakim Danish back into turn 1 on lap number 10. Mie is now pretty much out of the running. He needs a series of misfortune for his 2 championship rivals ahead of him. Does look like we're going to be down to a 2-rider fight. Another new personal best lap on lap 9 from Feder Pratama, 1 minute 43.660. That gap's opened by another half a second, 1.4 seconds now. Feder Pratama looking in control.
Yeah, the race is run for Pratama unless he makes mistakes, but that can obviously happen as well. A track like this, it's such a narrow line that all it takes is making a mistake into one corner, and that can be catastrophic for you. As you can see, though, for Hakim Danish, he's under attack once again from Carter Thompson.
3 abreast once again as they go through turn 10, and lucky not to collect one another. Ezoa on the inside, just backing out of it. Thompson holding station in 3rd, and Hakim Danish in 2nd. So it's a 3-rider scrap here for P2. 1.6 seconds now down on the race leader. Pratama is away and gone, and these 3 scrapping with one another stops them from being able to run the optimum lines, and enables Pratama to escape them.
Yeah, and they've now given up on Pratama. This is just a straight-up brawl to be able to come out with the 20 points per second fight. You see Carter Thompson run on the run through to the tightening right hand, he's going to get down the inside.
Thompson, of course, the spoiler in this 3-rider group. The other 2 are our championship rivals, as Hakim Danish gets slightly offline. Ezoa's going to be able to pick up the pieces and come through for 3rd position. Carter Thompson was already trying to make his move for 2nd, and that's what Ezoa needs to do here to beat Hakim Danish, try and ensure that he goes into race 2 tomorrow afternoon at least level pegging, so that it really will be a straightforward championship scrap. As we come back in towards turn 1 on lap number 11, Ezoa goes for the outside, all the way around the outside of Carter Thompson, and Carter Thompson will now get the cut back in towards turn 2. We'll have the high ground on the inside, but just about covering the line, it is Shinya Ezoa who holds on.
Yeah, at the front of the field, Pratama with another personal best of this race, and he's within a few hundredths of a second of the fastest lap of the race, so really impressive performance by him. He's opening up that 3-second lead, but you can see from Ezoa on the number 21 machine, he's just trying to make sure that he's able to hold on to the 20 points per second. We're coming close towards that final third of the race.
We could be looking at a day of home success for Indonesian riders at the Indonesian round, with Feder Pratama having already claimed the pole and looking good for a race victory. Right behind him, Carter Thompson back in front of Ezoa and Danish. Worth mentioning the fight further back down the order, as Amris Wanto has now come through for 5th position, still scrapping with Gun Mie, and Rizwanto, who's the closest we've really got to a local rider, born on the island of Sulawesi to the northeast of Lombok. 16-year-old Indonesian, managed his first top 10 finish at his home Grand Prix back in March, but in line to pick up his best finish yet if he can hold on ahead of Gun Mie in P5. So credit to the Indonesians, they're doing well in their home round in 1st and 5th places here. Ezoa going to the inside of Thompson, recovers 2nd place.
Yeah, you can see for Thompson, though, he's going to have that drive to be able to keep that number 6 out in front. He's had a pretty solid season in Europe as well, a lot of top 10 finishes in the European Talent Cup, so it's been a busy year for him, and one of those riders that's been double duty in Europe and the Asian Talent Cup.
Danish now comes through on Ezoa, and this is crucial in terms of the championship. Fastest lap of the race so far, set by Ezoa on lap number 7, but he's had his hands full with his title rival since then. Catch a flash of Feder Pratama, but he is now 3 seconds clear, so he's out of the race, realistically speaking. This is just for 2nd, 3rd and 4th, as we see Thompson still leading Danish and Ezoa. Fetasan now coming through on Rizwanto. So Rizwanto, just a couple of moments ago, I was saying looking good for his best result yet yet in P5, suddenly finds himself in 7th position. That's another 3-rider group further back.
Yeah, and that can just as easily change as the 3-rider group for 2nd, 3rd and 4th as well. But at the front of the field, Pratama opening up that healthy gap. It is still Carter Thompson up there in 2nd spot. But look at Ezoa on the run down in towards turn 10. This is where he's made quite a few double moves this weekend.
This 4th to 2nd once again for Ezoa. See what he does when he runs out onto the curve. The impetus with Carter Thompson as they make their way through 11 and 12. Pratama already exiting 12 before they're out of 11. That's the advantage that our current race leader has now.
Yeah, the same situation there from Ezoa as what we saw a few laps ago whenever he was able to make the 2-for-1 move on the entry to the corner, gives up a spot, but you've still picked off your main championship rival, so all good for Ezoa, who's now managed to get through once again.
Here is your secondary group. We have got Fetasan, who sits in 5th position for the moment. Gunmie tucked in right with him on the number 5. And Rizwanto, I was talking about just a couple of moments ago, the home rider, certainly proving that he has made steps forward during this 2022 campaign, much closer to the front this time around than he was at the Indonesian Grand Prix earlier on in the season at 8th and the 12th place. And since his summer break, Rizwanto has put in a new personal best with 6th position in Thailand, trying to better that further still. Currently sits in, well, 5th position as he defends it from Gunmie going in towards turn 1 on lap 13. He's run wide. Mie comes through and Rizwanto passed as well. And actually, Fetasan might have cost himself quite a lot of time there. He's going to have to work hard to get back onto the tail of these two or face being dropped by them for 5th and 6th positions.
Yeah, and the problem is once you run offline like that, you put a lot of dirt onto your tyres and that costs you an awful lot more time as well.
Ezoa, Thompson and Danish still in that order. This works quite nicely as far as Shinya Ezoa is concerned. Rider currently 2nd in the championship standings, who hopes to open up that margin over Hakim Danish, who's had 4 race victories so far in 2022. Oh, big moment there for Ezoa as they make their way under braking in towards turn 10. And that's going to run him offline coming off turn 10 and in towards turn 11. He drops down to 4th position. Just as I was saying, he was looking good ahead of Hakim Danish. He had a big moment there going in towards turn 10.
Yeah, it's easy for it all to change so quickly. This is the move into turn 1 that we saw from Ezoa, and able to get that 2nd spot as it is. He's given up those positions once again to Carter Thompson on the number 6 machine and our championship leader Hakim Danish on the number 13. That is Danish there, just trying to pick his way through this group as much as he can. And as it is right now, though, it is Carter Thompson that's at the front of this group. And you have to say that Thompson's always found a way to get to the front of this group as well. It's been impressive.
Well, the other good thing from a neutral's perspective is that Danish and Ezoa are in the same group here. So each time they are trading places, it is genuinely going to have an impact on the championship standings.
Yeah, exactly. And you can see here for Danish, a good run on the entry to turn 1 down that straight. We'll see if he's in a position to be able to outbrake Carter Thompson. Looks like he's in front before the braking zone there, so able to use the slipstream nicely at this point. But 3 laps to go, there's still going to be a lot of chances for Thompson and for Ezoa to move their way up into 2nd spot.
Yes, as the race leader escapes away, 4.8 seconds clear is Feda Pratama at the front of the field. Hakim Danish sitting in 2nd place, our 4-time race winner in 2022. Carter Thompson, the Australian, in 3rd. And Shinya Ezoa, Hakim Danish's main championship rival, currently in 4th position on the track. 3 seconds now the gap to Anris Wanto, with Gunmie and also Fetasan in a 3-rider group from 5th position down. But it's Danish versus Ezoa that's all important in terms of the championship, and they've got the run on him heading in towards turn 10. And I suspect that between now and the end of the race, we could have a little bit of contact as well.
Yeah, you're seeing there again that double move from Ezoa. Is Carter Thompson going to be able to answer back? Not on this occasion. So for Thompson, it's going to be about building up towards turn 15, but we've still got 2.5 laps left in this race, so you don't want to show all your cards just yet, but certainly if you want to be in any position in this group, it is probably in that 2nd spot.
Gunmie still fighting it out for 5th position further back as the number 21 Ezoa gets moved aside off the racing line, over the curve and down from 2nd to 4th. Hakim Danish then recovering a provisional place on the podium as he looks to add to the 8 he already has on his account. This is his 15th start in the Asia Talent Cup. Through the final sector then of lap 14, 2 to go after this one. Really is anyone's as far as 2nd and 3rd places are concerned.
Yeah, you wouldn't fancy placing bets on it, but for Hakim Danish, he's got a good run down the start-finish straight, just like he did a lap ago.
Hakim Danish then on the number 13, our current championship leader, the 15-year-old Malaysian. trying to get to the front once again and extend his championship lead. He's got a bite between himself and Shinya Ezawa, who's currently second in the standings, the 13-year-old from Japan, and not quite able to find his way back alongside. So Thompson, Danish and Ezawa in that order on the penultimate lap of this race. Potama now 5.8 seconds clear at the head of the field. Gamiya 3.4 seconds behind them, and still with nothing to choose between him, Rizwanto and Fetasan further back. But the two championship hopefuls locked absolutely level, nose to tail, as they head through once again. The race leader making his way through the exit of turn 10. This is where much of the action has been in this race for second position, and again, with each passing lap, they get closer to contact, these three.
And Ezawa was right on the limit that time around. That's why Danish has been able to pick off Carter Thompson and also Ezawa, just because they lost so much momentum there, with Ezawa a little bit loose on the entry to the corner, just trying to get that bike stopped.
Thompson gets around Danish now for second position. Ezawa's been bumped back to fourth place. Every corner, one to the next, they're willing to trade places, but turn 10 in particular looks like it's going to be vital on the final lap.
Yeah, turn 10 for the number 21 of Ezawa, that's his key overtaking opportunity, and for Hakim Danish it's the run down in towards turn 1, and that's where he's been able to use the slipstream down the start-finish straight. Carter Thompson, though, he's been able to make a lot of moves pretty much everywhere around this track. It's just about trying to stay in front of the riders behind him.
Into the final lap now for Fede Potama, the pole sitter and race leader throughout. You don't always see that in the Asia Talent Cup. He's been able to break away 6.6 seconds clear. It's going to be a big winning margin. Dramas, by the looks of it, further down the order, and that will be right towards the back of the field. So that's Putra and Swain, I think, who were scrapping outside of the point, 16th and 17th places. They're going to be our first two retirements. It's not been generally a race of attrition in race one of this Indonesian round. It is Fede Potama who leads us back into second place now. Hakim Danish, Ezawa relegated to fourth.
Yeah, Ezawa down into turn 10, that's where he's been able to make that double move on quite a few occasions. He's going to have the run down into 10 to make that once again, but is he going to be brave enough to try and pick off both riders? He knows that for his championship standings, he has to get through on Danish, who's out in front of the sprint.
Elbows out, I'm sure, in towards turn 10, one of the best remaining overtaking opportunities. He tries to slot alongside Carter Thompson, but can't quite get there. Danish remains at the head of this three-rider group in pursuit of those podium places. Thompson's run wide and onto the green paint. That could be vital in the post-race analysis. Ezawa comes through on Thompson for third position, and now it's a head-to-head between the two championship rivals. Hakim Danish, our current series leader, sits up in second place. Shinya Ezawa, second in the standings, desperate to reverse what could be a major point swing here on the final lap. They make their way through the final sector. It's Danish defending the position. Ezawa, though, has the inside line. That's the place to be through these long right-handers, turns 15 and 16. Thompson trying to go the long way round. They're three abreast. Danish cuts back to the inside, catches Ezawa by surprise. Ezawa has to stand it up and back out of it. Big moments as he tries to get back on the racing line. The two championship rivals touch. Fede Potama comes over the line to win his home round in Indonesia. Race one goes to Fede Potama, second over the line to Carter Thompson, and the two championship rivals cross absolutely level, but it's Hakim Danish who's given it on the timing ahead of Shinya Ezawa, and that will mean, barring any post-race penalties, potentially for Carter Thompson, as things stand at the moment, we're looking at a 6-point margin between Hakim Danish and Shinya Ezawa coming into race 2 tomorrow afternoon.
Yeah, you wouldn't be too surprised if there is a penalty for Thompson for running out onto the green paint in the exit of turn 10, and that would only extend the lead for Hakim Danish by another point as well. So certainly for a race winner, though, Potama, such an impressive